I think that this information has the potential to be like the most important thing you ever hear in your life.
Welcome to the Finding Healers podcast. Okay, bro, so please tell me firstly what the 1/8 is. What is this that the 1/8 is that I apparently have?
So the 1/8, it's, I don't even know where to start with channels and gates, because each channel you can look at it from so many different angles, you know, and it will tell a different story. So for you, the 1/8, it's a very individual channel. It's very much about expressing your uniqueness, your creativity. So it comes from the G center, which is all about direction, identity, and love. So it's like kind of like your frequency, right? And then it's moving towards the throat. The throat is all about expression, manifestation, communication. Your identity is coming out your mouth.
Okay.
Now, being expressed, being communicated. Really what it is for you to make a contribution with your uniqueness.
Okay.
So, you know, my brother has it. It can be, I always tell people, like, the more you let your freak flag fly with that channel, the more attractive it is, because it does create a lot of attraction.
Okay.
So these are people who could be, like, you know, seen by a lot of other people when you're honoring your authenticity.
Okay. And what would be the sort of telltale sign if you're not honoring, like the shadow of that gate, perhaps?
What are people thinking of me? Bro, that's my whole life.
That's my whole life. Okay.
I'm scared to let out this. I feel weird if I do this, you know, if I behave this way. My brother is such a perfect example. Like, growing up, he would do the weirdest shit. Like, at one point, he was playing a unicycle basketball.
What?
Yeah. So he's riding a unicycle, playing basketball with, there's like leagues and stuff, right? He's like a big juggler. He was super into, like, he has these very unique passions. The 1/8 always puts their own style on it. So you have your own style.
Cool.
It didn't matter what he was doing. He's a manifestor, so he would attract even more attention and be very impactful. But as long as he was following his inner, this is me, like, people just like flock to him.
Wow.
And it's just crazy to see, because we're like unicycle basketball, but it's like this huge thing.
How is that even a thing?
Yeah, he's talented.
Who thinks of that in the first place? You have to come from a circus.
A 1/8.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's true. I mean, I cannot imagine the first person to be like, we should put these two things together. Do you still have to bounce the ball?
Yeah. They're bouncing it. They're passing it. Yeah. Shoot. Like, it's, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That is insane. Okay, so the 1/8. So I need to be more of a freak. I should let my freak flag fly.
Let it fly, baby.
I'm trying to think that. But, you know,
It's so attractive. That's the thing. It's attractive.
It's really crazy you say that, because thinking now about conditioning, when I was younger, I used to play rugby. And my dad always said to me, never wear white boots. And I was like, why? He's like, because everyone will see your mistakes. And so I lived my whole life with this kind of frame of, like, people are looking for what's wrong in you. And so I've always been conditioned to kind of be aware of what people see, or what I let them see, or what jumps out at them. And so that's totally not good for my 1/8 gate.
Dads give the best advice, don't they?
Yeah, totally. I'm assuming you have very similar stories.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's an example of some great advice from your dad?
My dad instilled in me that life is hard work, and that's it. Yeah. I mean, work hard, make your money, and that's it, which is the exact opposite of what a projector is supposed to do. And the funny thing is, my dad's a projector.
What?
With no motors, so we can see how, like, what energy you have defined in your chart. So he has a no motor projector, which just means you have less consistent drive or emotion, whatever. So he's really here for awareness. He's really here to guide other people. He's really here for his, you know, his what he sees.
Yeah.
And his life was all hard work, man. Just work.
So he must have just suffered. Must have just, bro, how? But
yeah.
Now that I'm aware of the fact that I'm a projector, I really honor the fact that I get tired.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm trying to think, how did I do it? How did I get through that? Like, now I get home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon after a meeting with somebody. I'll be like, really need to take a lie down.
Hard day's work.
Need to recharge these batteries, man. So I don't know how people do that. How on earth do they find the energy to work hard? Because that's also, we're always taught that if it comes easy, it's not worth it. You know? Nothing in life worth having comes easy or something like that. They love that little statement. So now I actually do have a lot of questions for you today, or like specific questions, because, and one of them that I can talk about right now is what you just mentioned, that there's so many different ways to look at a gate. Okay, so this is what's blowing my mind, is that if it was as easy as saying, oh, I have this gate defined, and you go research gate 8-1, you can be like, okay, I'm this. What are all of the ingredients needed in order to really do a reading on a specific gate or a channel or an overall person? Like, how do they vary? Based on what?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
The thing about your definition, what's colored in your chart, is you don't have to do anything to get it, or to you don't have to even understand it for it to express itself. What you have to do is we look at the chart, we look at what you're not. Once you get rid of the conditioning of I need to be who I'm not, who you are just naturally expresses itself. I have a big ego in my chart, and human design, ego is not a bad word. We can have healthy egos, we can have unhealthy egos, right? There's lots of self-worth that lives in the ego center. So when I first saw my design and I had an ego and they're like, oh, this is a consistent self-worth. I had the lowest self-worth of anybody I knew. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I don't have a consistent sense of self-worth, but my ego, like, what the, like, it doesn't, I didn't understand it. The more I started to let go of trying to be who I wasn't, my ego started to come alive. And I started to meet it for the first time. And I was like, oh, that's what it feels like. Oh, yeah, you know, and I can start to feel that heart center. I didn't learn, I learned about it, you know, theoretically, I read stuff about it, but it did not resonate with me because I was so clogged up in trying to become that other person that it couldn't express itself. So I always tell people, what's defined in your chart, it's your energetic business card. When you walk into a room, people feel it, whether you open your mouth or not, whether you understand it or not. So this is why, you know, when someone tells you how much they love their job, and you know they're full of shit because you can just feel the real them is like not happy with the choices that they've been making. So that's one of my answers. To really actually answer your question, the 1/8's a great example of, you know, how we can look at it in a different way. So for you, we talked about what it was like for you. Being an individual channel, it's about empowerment. So when you're living in that part of yourself, being authentic, letting your creativity come out, it is very empowering to other people to live like themselves. Oh, look at Wade. He's so this, or he's so, wow, I feel empowered to be more myself just from you living your expression. So we can look at it from how does it empower you? How does it empower other people? Then you can look at it from a group perspective. So when we start looking at group dynamics, the 1/8 is kind of the expression of a group, what we call a penta. So between 3 and 5 people creates a whole different, what we call a transauric form. So when we get into groups, everybody kind of loses their individuality. 3 to 5 people, now the group is operating as its own entity. Okay. So when someone has the 1/8, naturally in groups, in small groups, you'll be looked to as a leader of the group, as somebody who can help channel the expression of the group.
Okay.
You know, so we can look at it from a group. Like there's so many different ways we can look at it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, that is so interesting. Something which I have really felt since Monya left 2 nights ago to go to Dubai. I can feel such a big difference. Not in a bad way. Not in a way that says like my life's so much greater without her. Of course I miss her. Yeah. But I can feel that I'm not rushed anymore. Is this a result of her defined sacral, her energy center, which is pushing me to not know when to stop? Or could there be multiple other areas that are responsible for this feeling of peace?
I mean, I think you nailed it. That's the biggest thing with projectors. Where, the joke in human design is you have the generator, 70%, almost 70% of humanity, and then you have the non-sacral beings, is what we call them. So we say the non-sacral, we're like the vampire, because everybody's living off of that sacral energy. It's the life force. It's it's building things. It's making babies. It's like life. So I think that was definitely my biggest area of conditioning, of like just not knowing when enough is enough. So that sacral all of a sudden leaves after a long time. You're gonna feel a relief for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I have no desire to do all of a sudden, and everything seems so much more clear. When for a very long time I've sort of felt almost like I always have to be doing something, but for no reason. It's almost like I create my own deadlines of things that don't need to be done in a time that's not important, and I'm holding myself to it for some extreme reason, as if it matters, and I haven't known why I was doing it.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it started when I left Dubai and we started traveling, and I thought that was a result of not having an income, and I was trying to make ends meet and trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. But now, as I look back in hindsight, I realize that was us staying in very close proximity every single day for 24 hours a day. And I was feeding off her energy center and not knowing when to stop. And getting nothing out of it, really. I mean, great life, but just a lot of stress. I reckon I'm going to be gray a lot sooner just because of those years. A lot of stress, the thing I love about looking at your page is how you honor the projector. And that's something which really sits deep with me, because I'm a projector. And so I don't know why, but I really love the fact that I'm a projector. Maybe that's a projector thing to like love the fact that we're projectors. But I would be so pissed off if I was any other type. I feel like projector's just totally my thing. And I love how your page describes all the different things about why it's great to be a projector. How does the profiles, for example, you're a 1-3, I'm a 4-6, how do these sort of change our energy type or change the way that we behave within our energy type? Can a specific profile sort of create a projector which may behave a lot more like a manifestor or a generator, or is this something possible or not?
That's a great question. I've never thought of it.
Okay.
I would just say, sure. Profile is just as important as your chart, right? So we say, like, in your chart is your energetic business card. It's kind of happening unconsciously. It's what people feel from you. So we would say it's like the characteristics of your design. Your profile is kind of like your character. So that your design moves through your profile, and then this is how holistically we meet the world.
Okay.
So where do you even go with that question? And that was deep. Okay. The more you align with your design and your type, the better your profile starts to fit you. So if you can think of your profile as like a suit, it can be either a tailored suit to your specific body, or it could be a baggy suit that looks like shit. Okay. And that's all just dependent on how aligned you are to your design. Your profile starts to really fit more. I don't think I'm specifically answering your question, but I have so much. Would it be? I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Would a 1-3 be more prone to act like a different like that's hard for me to answer.
It's a hard thing to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so give us some characteristics of a 1-3 for somebody who has a 1 in their profile or a 3 in their profile, or how does it all come together?
Or not come together.
Or not come together.
For me, it's all about relationships. So one of the things that I get asked a lot about is relationships. You know, we're here, we're alone, we're individual, but there's other people around. And so all the time we're interacting with others. We have significant others, you know, we all want to have sex. There's going to be another person there eventually at some point. So looking at profile from relationships, from sexuality, from the way we bond, I think is the most fascinating. For example, the 1-3. In your profile, the first number we say comes from the personality side. This is our consciousness. This is who we think we are. This is what keeps reincarnating over and over again. Then we have our body, which lives and dies one life. So the second number comes from the body. So when you look at profile, you can kind of think, okay, the first number, more who I think I am, more what I'm aware of. The second number is more strictly a body energy. So when you look at the 1-3 in terms of relationship and sexuality, the bonding strategy of the 3 is called bonds made and broken. Okay. You don't have to know much to just start to think of the problems that are going to arise having the third line body. So for me, consciously, in relationship, I would get to a point where I needed to break the bond. I didn't know why. I didn't understand it. I thought something was wrong. Why am I not attracted to her anymore? No, my third line body is healthiest when it takes space. And then it can come back together. It's fresh, it's new, it's all about discovery, the third line. So it's very much in relationship. I just require making and breaking the bond to keep the relationship healthy.
Can breaking the bond be a weekend away?
Sure.
Or does it have to be breaking up?
Nope. It could be going to work. It could be going for a coffee. Each person, each relationship, we all match up so uniquely. I don't know what breaking the bond could be. It could literally be anything for that specific partnership. Another thing about relationship, just in a more generalized way to look at it, is when you look at two partnership charts, or you look at two charts together in a partnership, no two people come together the same way. So the fact that we look at relationships and want to say this is what a relationship is supposed to look like is a complete joke once you start seeing like, hey, you're going to act very different with this guy than you are with that guy, or this girl than you are with this girl. And that creates so much confusion, especially when it's like, why does she act that way with him, but she can't do that with me? Well, he has a different gait than I do. And that's it. It's a different connection.
Yeah.
So we all match up so uniquely in relationship that, the third line, how much do I need to make and break the bond, could completely depend on your partner.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to jump away from profiles for a second because we're speaking about gates now. And this is something which has only just recently become of a tiny bit of sense to me. And that's the story of hanging gates. Can you first tell us what is a hanging gate and how we can best navigate our life by being aware of these hanging gates, or what should we pay attention to when we see, oh my God, I have a hanging gate? What should we do if I'm at home just looking at my chart right now?
Can't do anything with it.
How do I strategize?
This is the beauty of human design. You get your strategy, you get your authority. The chart, the centers, all that shit is the problem. The solution is just living your type. It's so simple. When you look at it, the first time I pulled up my human design chart, I'm like, I'm out. You're like, what am I looking at? It's so complex. There's so much information there. If you try to live your life thinking like, oh, I have hanging gate 10, which you do. Okay, it wants to go to the 57 or 34 or the 20. What is that? Okay, how do I admit now? You're lost in the mind. And guess what? You have 6 or 7 other hanging gates that you're not
haven't even thought about yet.
When you're looking at this one. What it means, really, there's something we call the genetic imperative in human design, and that says that our genes are hardwired to be attracted to opposites, purely for reproductive purposes. Different genetic material, when they come together and have a child, there's a better chance of evolution, healthy mutations, healthy offspring. It keeps the gene pool viable. We need difference. So naturally, we're just attracted to that. When we turn that in on ourselves, we start to become obsessed with who we're not. And we're literally we forget about who we are, and we try to become all the openness in our design. So when you have a hanging gate, it's pointing towards another gate that you don't have. So for example, in your chart, you have gate 10. It's pointing to those 3 other gates. What we would say is that the focus in your not self would be on trying to fix and trying to find the energy of the 3 gates that you don't have. So when it comes to reading and when it comes to understanding your chart, you actually do more research on where it's pointing.
Okay.
Because those are going to be the areas that you think, I'm inadequate, I'm missing, I'm inconsistent, I need to get it. That's where you can start to have the ahas of, oh shit, I'm not that. I can let that go.
Yeah. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
The whole stop trying, you can't do anything about it, right? Because I was chatting with somebody the other day who had a undefined spleen, which, as far as I'm aware, it revolves around safety and protection and obviously intuition and things like that. However, I was focusing more on the safety and protection aspect, and I was mentioning how people who have an undefined spleen invariably will be stuck in abusive relationships or relationships which do not serve them because the other partner might have a defined spleen there. But how does a person combat that? That, I guess you can call it an error. That kind of like misleading of having a gate filled by another person to make you feel complete.
Yeah.
How can somebody be aware of the fact that they're doing that, and what can they do to sort of not go down that path?
Yeah, that's a great question. And those are pretty much what my readings do.
Okay.
If you have an open center, there's what we call the not self theme. They're very straightforward, very simple. Open spleen, holding on to things that are no longer good for you. Okay, that's easy. So how do you recognize that? It's all about decision making. Human design invites you to make decisions in a different way. We've been conditioned to make decisions with our mind. Where does the mind live? In the open centers, because that's what it wants to fix. With that genetic imperative, that's where it's saying, we got an inconsistent sense of feel good in our spleen. We better hold on. So I always tell people, just notice when you're making a decision, are any of those themes coming up for you? And then boom, you can be so aware of, oh shit, that's why I'm making the decision. Oh, you have a completely open ego. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the number one conditioning factor of anybody who has it. And about 2/3 of humanity has an open heart center, an open ego center. This is inconsistent willpower. What's the not self theme? I need to prove myself in this life. So I'm going to overcommit. I'm going to overpromise. I'm going to do my morning routine every morning. I'm going to do the 30-day posting Instagram challenge so I can prove that, it's so easy with the open heart to realize like, oh my God, I've been proving myself my whole life in the decisions that I'm making. Wow. Do you know Tony Robbins?
Yes.
Big defined ego.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about the open heart people that go to a Tony Robbins seminar. The week they're there, they're so amped up on that ego energy. Okay. I can conquer the world. I'm so in my willpower. I'm going to commit. I'm going to crush my life now. I'm so, like you just feed off of his defined heart. This day they get home, they wake up the next morning, it's gone. What's wrong with me? Why can't I stick to my word? Why can't I be consistent in my commitments? And you feel like shit. It's so obvious to see when you just know the theme of the center.
Yeah.
Like you've been living your whole life that way. When I first saw my chart, I don't even research my channels and gates much at all. I don't even know that much about them. What I did was just looked at all my open centers because that was the exact person I was trying to be, was the opposite of my chart. The exact opposite.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's what you can advise people. Spend time looking at the centers which are open and pay attention to moments in your life where you start to act out that not self theme
in your decisions.
Decisions.
Yep.
And when you see that you are acting out that non-self theme, be aware and make different decisions, or perhaps retreat. Or what kind of strategies can we put in place once we identify?
Step one, laugh at yourself. Because I'm like, fuck, I'm doing it again. You know, don't have fun with it. You know, talk about the third line, we make a ton of mistakes. Human design is not dogmatic. There are no rules you have to follow. I always tell people, fuck it up as much as you possibly can, because that's going to drive you to the point where you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. You know, so when you watch it come up, inevitably it's still going to be there. For me, it was 30 plus years of my life. That was like, you know how hard it is to get rid of that?
Sure.
So laugh at yourself. And then when you have the aha moment, celebrate. Just the awareness around, I just made a decision proving myself. You know how huge that is? To just have the awareness around it, no matter what the decision was. It's such a win. You know, I think so many people are like, they want to use it as like, I need to fix myself now. The mind will never go away.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling of like, they say one of the hardest things to do is an open spleen, to leave a defined spleen partner. The hardest. It could be good, it could be bad, whatever, but it's so hard to get rid of that energy just because that's the way you were designed.
Yeah. And you feel safe.
Yeah.
So Ophelia is a manifester. What profile are you? 3-5. And Moreno is a reflector. So what advice do you have for a manifestor living with a reflector, or a reflector living with a manifestor? What can go on here?
That's an interesting combination. Looking at type, one of the first things we can see is aura. So when you look at type in human design, think of it as like there's 4 different vehicles that you could be riding around in this life. Each vehicle has a different fuel that it needs. Each vehicle, you know, looks kind of different. You know, each vehicle has a different operating manual. So when we look at type, we're really talking about aura. And in human design, aura isn't like the woo-woo, just like the energy you're putting out there. Human design, we look at it as a very mechanical, structural way that your energy is designed to meet the world. Okay. Each type has a very, very different aura. A manifestor aura is considered a closed and repelling type of aura. Not that the manifestor repels people. And the weird thing for me, just a side note, something about my design attracts manifestors. The majority of my clients have been manifestors. The majority of my partners have been manifestors. It's an interesting thing that I'm still curious about, of just like why they come into my life. Here in Bali, I've met 4 manifestors already, which is, you know, statistically speaking, kind of cool.
But pretty interesting.
So first hearing that, I have a closed and repelling aura, can be kind of like, well, fuck that. You know, like, no, I'm inside of this lovely, amazing, warm human, which we are. The manifestor's here for impact. Who and how do I impact in this life? They're here to bring new things into the world. Manifestor is the only type that doesn't really have to wait for anything. Everybody else, we're kind of waiting to respond as a generator, or for an invitation as a projector, or the moon as a reflector. So we're more of these like kind of receptive, like we need to wait before our life can happen. Manifestor, it's kind of like, I'm going to go out and get it. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to be the initiator. So with that, they get this aura as a protection mechanism. Hey, stay out of my space. I'm here to bring new stuff to the world. Don't try to control me. I don't care about your opinion necessarily. Okay, maybe give it to me, but I'm going to do what I want to do. The manifestor does not like being told what to do. Nobody really does, but them especially. So they have this aura as kind of this protection mechanism. Once they're kind of on their path, doing their thing, they're extremely attractive. They're extremely magnetic. But still, that aura is there to impact the world. So when we look at generators and projectors, you know, we're more vulnerable from conditioning from the people around us, because our aura doesn't really have that protection mechanism built into it. The reflector aura we consider a sampling aura, also like we call it the Teflon aura. So they can sample different energies, but then those energies don't necessarily condition them as deeply as a projector or generator. They can kind of slide right off. So when you look at, you know, there's something similar between a manifestor and a reflector in that there is this kind of protective mechanism built into their aura.
Does a reflector have all channels and gates white, or do they have gates?
They have gates.
Okay.
Yeah, just centers.
Just centers
open.
Okay. And do they get a type too? I mean, a profile?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what Miranda's profile is? Oh, well, great work. You're really working hard in your relationship there, man. Okay, so 3-5.
Yeah, the 3-5.
So what can you say about a 3-5 that comes to mind?
Yeah. I don't ever like using difficult or harder than or like comparing, because it's all different. We all have our struggles, but 3-5s. First of all, because I'm a 3, I can relate to the 3-5. The 3 is all about trial and error. The 3 is all about discovery through what doesn't work. If you're a third line, your life's probably messy in some capacity, especially the first 30 years. You know, we're going through a lot of this trial and error. So there's no such thing as a mistake for the third line. This is how we learn. We have to fuck it up so that we can get our experience. We can gain our wisdom that way. Okay. So that's the third line. The dilemma with the 3-5 is when we look at the 5 lives in what we call the projection field. So 5 is the savior, 5 is the general. When you meet a 5, instantly you are already projecting onto that person what they're going to be able to do for you. Oh, she's going to be able to fix this for me. Oh, I have this problem. Maybe she could help me with this. Oh, she's going to be the best girlfriend. Oh, she's going to be the best employee. Whatever it is, the projections always start positive. So they're inviting these projections because there's a possibility for them to fulfill some of those expectations, and they can meet opportunities this way. But think about when you combine those, how that works. Someone meets you and they're projecting onto you that you're going to be the best whatever and never make a mistake. And what does the third line do? It only makes mistakes. Whoa. So, you know, I suffered from a lot of perfectionism as the third line. I don't want to fuck up because we're not taught. No one wants to know what doesn't work, which is so incredibly valuable. Everybody's like, what does work? Oh, you're perfect. Okay, let me follow that person because they're perfect. Where the 3 is here to get messy, and that's where the real learning happens for them. So when I look at a 3-5, it can be like, wow, look at all these projections, positive projections that pile up on top of them, and then they can feel so nervous that they're going to make a mistake. Expectations. I got to fulfill these expectations. And the funny thing about projections is they can be so off. They're just coming from, these people have no idea who you are, and they just think they know you already, or they think you're going to be able to fix something, and you're like, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. So it's so important for the 5th lines to really follow their strategy and authority of, is this correct for me to fulfill or not? Because they can put on the song and dance. They can put on the, okay, I'll be that person for you. Okay, let me fulfill all these things for you. You know, the classic tale of the 3-5 is they walk into a movie theater. Okay. The movie theater catches on fire. This is what we would call a third line experience. Shit, some crazy things going down. The fire department doesn't show up because of budget cuts. Okay. So the 3 gets up and starts screaming, hey, this doesn't work. Okay, this doesn't work. At the same time, they are expected to also organize the fire brigade and get people out the exits in an orderly fashion and be the save the day type of person. Yeah. So that's kind of the funny story of a 3-5 is like, wow, there's lots of stuff that go wrong, but at the same time, they're expected to be the savior.
Wow. What a contradiction.
And that's the beauty of life, is when we look at profile, some can be harmonic and some are not harmonic. Guess what the common profiles are? Tell me. the non-harmonic ones.
Oh, wow.
The
So
1, 3, 5. Tension.
Yeah.
The 3, 5, the 1, 3. It's rare where we see a harmonic profile. The percentage is far leaning towards the non.
What would be a harmonic profile?
So when we look at profile, we have numbers 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And it lays out in a hexagram format. So it's the base is the 1.
Okay.
So the investigator. The one's always insecure because we need to investigate to try to get some solid foundation for the rest of the numbers to stand on. Okay. So 1, 3, we're inherently insecure, but the insecurity is causing us to dive deeper.
Okay.
Investigate, learn, establish some sort of foundation. We break the hexagram into 2 trigrams. The bottom, 1, 2, 3. Lower trigram. The top, 4, 5, 6. The bottom 3 are all about kind of a personal experience. Okay. Investigation. I'm blind to the outside world because I'm investigating. The 3, trial and error process, but it's my process. So the 1, 3 is the only profile that lives both numbers in the lower trigram. We're the most self-absorbed profile.
Okay.
Because we're in the lower trigram. The second you move to the upper trigram, it's more transpersonal. The 4 is the networker. I want to get the bottom out to my network. I want to transpersonalize it to everybody. So you take what the 1 has investigated, and now it's the 4's job to spread it. So that's how we divide the hexagram. So harmonics are the 1 to the 4, the 2 to the 5, and the 3 to the 6.
Okay.
Those are the harmonies. A 1, 4, I'm going to externalize the foundation that I've studied. It fits together. The 2, 5, they both live in the projection field. The 3, 6, that's a wild profile to have, but you can see the 6 goes through a 3-part process and is actually a 3 the first 30 years of life. So these people live a 3 first 30 years.
Wow.
Crazy. And then the 6 turns into the role model of pure, experience through what they've learned in life. So those are the harmonics that are a lot more rare than the 1, 3 or the contradictory ones. Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
So then, if the whole thing with human design is to pay attention to your empty centers, your white centers, what should a reflector do?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I've done a few reflector readings. I won't pretend I know their experience because I really don't. Reflectors are the only lunar type. They're very much tapped into what the moon is doing, the transit of the moon. So this is key for a reflector if they get into human design, is we actually map out a full lunar cycle to see when the moon is moving around the wheel, it moves through the 64 hexagrams, and inevitably it will create a definition. It will create a channel. Say the reflector has gate 36. Okay. All centers are open. They're all white. And then the moon moves into gate 35. It links up this channel for however long the moon stays in that gate, and all of a sudden they don't turn into, but they experience what it's like to be an emotional manifester. So the reflector, through the 28.5-day lunar cycle, depending on what gates they have, will turn into different people. Will experience manifesting, and then experience generating, and then experience projecting. So it can be very confusing for them to make a decision when the moon moves into them, all of a sudden being a manifester, boom, there they go. They're going to use their manifesting potential. And then the next day it's gone. So when we look at reflectors, we look at what is the whole 30-day cycle for you, and they can start to see, okay, what channels get activated? Can I feel it? Can they start to resonate to it? Can they see it? But from an experiential level, I have no fucking idea what it would feel like to be a reflector. Interacting with them, they're tapped into something else. they're tapped into the stars and the energy of the whole program in a way that we aren't, because we're so busy with the sun and with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say is one decision that you have made that absolutely changed your life?
It's gonna take now. It did it.
Oh, you know exactly. Yeah.
I went to the most controversial one immediately. Sleeping in my own bed.
Oh, let's go there. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Tell me about this decision. What first initiated you to even think about the idea?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty taboo in Western relationship. You wouldn't be encouraged to sleep in a different bed. Your wife would probably want to slap you.
Yeah.
Or partner would want to slap you. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
So Ra, who had the transmission of human design, he, in every reading he did, he would always say, sleep in your own bed, to every single reading that he did. Opposites attract. Okay. I love emotional manifestors. My ex is an emotional manifester. It's literally opposite of my design. That's a lot of emotional energy. All right. That's like big time power, you know? So you get an open emotional person in bed with an emotional person, and you're both unconscious and sleeping. I am amping that emotional wave all night long. I can wake up like, what just happened? You know, that solar plexus that isn't designed to consistently have emotional energy running through it all night long was running emotional energy. I didn't know. Once I started sleeping in my own aura, you wake up as yourself. Your open centers that have been conditioned all day have a chance to release the energy that's not yours, that you've been amping all day. So for me, it's a different type of sleep. You get to be yourself, you know? And then when you wake up and you meet your partner in the morning, it's two individuals meeting each other again to experience life together. When you look at couples who have been sleeping together forever, you know, 20 years, 30 years, all these marriages, they start to look like the same person. They start to have the same mannerisms. They're pretty much melting into each other. They don't even know what it's like to be out of that energy anymore. So I feel like you can so easily lose yourself in a relationship just by sleeping in different beds. Gives you an opportunity to release, and then in the morning meet each other in a way where you're empowered as an individual, which is, you know, when I look at partnership, that's what we're here for. Quality of unique communication between two people living their own purpose. You know, of course you can do it together. But what at an interesting point, I used to get so. At first, I wouldn't tell anybody sleep in your own bed. I was like, I'm not going to tell people that. They're going to think I'm fucking nuts, you know? And then I started to say it. And what I had found is that guess who had the issue with not sleeping in the same bed?
Female?
The men.
The men?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And is that got to do with a design type, or is that just male-female?
I think it's more male-female dynamics of like, I don't really know, but it could be like a sense of ownership or safety or, you know, protection or, you know, I honestly don't really know. But I was so sure that it was going to be the women who were totally against it. And when it was the men, I was like, wow, this is so fascinating.
I have now realized how different it feels to sleep in my own bed. But I would think the difficulty would come in finding a balance between still being present as a partnership, still having a healthy sex life, still having all of those intimacies, but then just sleeping in separate beds. I think that would be a tough balance to figure out. And would you have any advice on that?
It'd probably be different for everybody. It doesn't mean don't cuddle. It doesn't mean here's my rule now and I have to follow it and there's no leeway, which it can. I'm very much in my this works for me. This feels really good for me, and I'm not going to compromise in this way. So I can be a kind of a hard stand for this, but it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, we're unconscious. Like, we're both unconscious. Like, just, let's cuddle, whatever, and then we go to our separate spaces, and then we come back together in the morning. What?
But that's exactly how I feel about it. Monya and I have had the conversation where I suggested it. I was like, I would like to try, because why not? And then she was like, yeah, but I don't want to try that. Like, I don't want to. And I'm wondering if maybe we just don't see it because we're not emotional.
This is a beautiful area to look at the open centers. What centers in her are open that are, oh my God, he doesn't want to sleep in my same bed. What's wrong with me?
The worthiness, the ego. The ego is open.
It is.
Yeah.
That can be like, I feel like he needs space because of something that I did. What's wrong with our relationship? That's immediately where the mind goes to, of not, this could be a healthy, amazing experience for both of us, but what's wrong with me, my insecurities, my, the something with the the mind just goes and just fucks us over. It's just, it's a mind fuck, it's such a mind fuck. So that would be a great area to be like, okay, let's get to the root maybe of why I don't want to try it. And when we discover, what is it? I think you would probably find that it would be some not self qualities that the mind's holding on to.
Okay. Then so then it's just that not self of not knowing when to stop that is amplified through her defined sacral and my undefined sacral.
Totally.
And so I'm just kind of waking up in the morning, foot on the pedal.
Got to be productive.
Let's go. Yeah, that there, got to be productive is like my crux.
Yeah.
It's the thing of every day I've got to do something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I saw this quote in a book the other day that just blew my mind because it summed up my open sacral so perfectly. And it was a woman writing about her marriage, her partnership. And she said she would come home. She's a manifesting generator. She would come home and she was like, my partner would be on the couch in the middle of the day and he's relaxing at me. And I was like, oh my God, that's what it felt like. I don't want to relax at anybody. And it was like, whoa, that is so crazy. So like, I'd be chilling on my couch. If I heard a noise, I would get up and start, pretending I was doing something, like I'm gonna scroll. Like, it's okay to scroll on my phone, but not sit here like this staring into space, And so for me, like, I couldn't even sit on a couch. I couldn't relax because my brain the whole time was like, you need to be more productive. You're not going to make it. You're not going to compete. You're not going to, you suck. You're lazy. You're blah, whatever. So that whole like, I don't want to relax at people. I felt so guilty for taking the rest that I needed.
Bro, do you know that this is really strange? But we have people who cook for us in our house and a lady who cleans for us. And when they're at our house, I can't lie down and do nothing because I feel like it's a slap in their face.
Yeah.
Like they're here at work working for me while I just lie down and watch something,
Yeah, you're relaxing at them.
Yeah, I'm relaxing at them. Is that just a projector thing?
I'm guessing it's an open sacral thing.
Okay.
Manifestors, open sacral.
Okay.
Yeah. Their energy is always ready not always ready. They can move a motor to the throat center for manifestation. But they have an open sacral. So the open sacral, not knowing when enough is enough, same theme for them as well.
Yeah.
They work more in bursts. So I'm guessing it's anyone with the open sacral.
Okay, so a projector like myself who has the root defined.
Yeah.
This means I have energy.
Yeah. We would consider you an energy projector.
Okay.
Any projector with at least one of the three motors, not the sacral, because that would make them a generator.
Yes.
Can be an energy projector.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is common for an energy projector? Because we are projectors as a whole is like, short bursts and then take some rest.
Yeah.
So what would be a common thing for an energy projector?
Well, think about so the root is, you have drive, you have ambition, you have, a stubbornness to fight for meaning in your life. You got a lot hooked up in the root, you know, so you have that as a projector. But when you're living in the not self of the sacral, what does it do to you? I got to do the drive all the time. I got to be productive all the time. I don't know when enough is enough. So energy projectors can really overtax the root, use it as the sacral, and pretty much get health problems or, you know, get exhaustion and burnout. So I think energy projectors, when you pair that with the sacral of I need to be consistent, it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, that's incredible. Something which in my relationship with Monya, we've really like taken on a lot of projects over our span, YouTube channel and Instagram page, and building her business, and now finding healers and all these different things. And on the side, Monya's doing a yoga course, and I'm doing this and that. And so we're always doing these things. And Monya's one feeling, which I absolutely do not share, is she has this feeling of, I didn't accomplish it. I didn't finish it. I haven't finished it. I need to. She feels like she started something and not finished it. Whereas I'm like, couldn't care less. Yeah. I'm not interested in it anymore. It doesn't matter. What would you draw that back to?
That can be a number of things. There's specific gates in a chart that are focused on finishing things. So if she had one side is the drive to start something, and she doesn't have the other side, which is the energy to bring it to completion, there could be a not self of I'm lacking in the area of completing things, so I need to complete everything. Not self. Could be the heart. I said I was going to do it, so I have to do it.
Okay,
that's an easy one. You know, there could be so many little areas. Just because conditioning is, you start something, you better finish it.
Yeah,
that's been ingrained in me forever.
Me too.
You know, and now I'm like, I started something, I got 90% of the way there, and my body is so bitter now. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Okay.
Yeah. How would you describe actions of bitterness or feelings of bitterness? Because this is something I struggle with, because I kind of feel like I know what bitterness feels like, but I can't put that into a expression. I can't explain to somebody else how they might feel if they were bitter.
For me, it was, I don't belong here. I came to the wrong planet. Life doesn't make sense. What's wrong with me? Just this. My favorite word was stupid. That is how I would describe it for me. Everything's stupid. Everybody's stupid. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, I just don't fit in. Just this bitter taste.
It's a feeling. I know how it feels. I really know how it feels. I also have a tendency to think about things which don't matter. And I know that that's a not self of the open head, right? How can you explain to people the importance of being aware of thinking about things which don't matter in order for them to truly live in alignment with their inner voice?
I love this question. 70% of humanity has an open head center. Okay. When you look in, you're into healers and all this type of work. When you look in the spiritual space, what's everybody selling? Inspiration. Where does inspiration live? The head center. What is thinking about things that don't matter? I need another healer. I need another course. I need another guru. I need someone to hit me with sticks. It's this insatiable binging of information to try to fix yourself. That's where I really see it, especially in this community of I'm not complete. I need more and more and more and more. Is it ever really going to change your life? I don't know. You don't really know, but we don't get there through thinking it, So I would just tell people, like, do you have enough information to make an actual change in your life right now? Or do you really need something else? Because most of the stuff, I think, doesn't really matter.
Sure.
Sure. Like, what does matter? I don't know.
That's a really good point, because I see a lot of that. And perhaps even in myself, constantly thinking that, I need the validation of a course, or a program with somebody for me to feel worthy to be able to share that wisdom or that knowledge, as opposed to, well, I actually kind of live that way already. I'm probably in the right space to help somebody with this, but I need that validation. I need to feel like I've accomplished it to be able to share it. So that's really interesting.
Well, that's a beautiful, you just linked two open centers together in a beautiful story.
Well, which ones?
The head and the heart. I need more things so that I can prove my worth.
Yeah.
You can start to see, and this is why the not self is so important when you start to see your open centers, because they all hang out together. They all the heart amps all the not self strategies of everything else you have open in your design.
Okay.
Be productive. Why? So we can prove more. Think about more stuff that doesn't matter. Why? So we can prove more.
Okay.
It's kind of the thorn in the side of like amping all the self stuff together.
Yeah.
I think that this information has the potential to be like the most important thing you ever hear in your life. And when we get to these types, it kind of seems like that's it. When you actually look and you start to feel your frequency for the first time, and you see how all this came together, which is like no one could have ever made this up. It came from another realm. Oh, it's just like cringe to look at Instagram and see these like type posts where you're just like, generators are here to be lit up and the generators are burnt out, frustrated. It's like, to me, it's the not self. For generators, I always say, how many things are you doing in your life that you're really a body no to? You're saying yes, but your body's a no. How many? And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be like, my friend asked me to help him move. I'm a good friend. My body's shut down and does not want to do that. But I'm going to do it anyways because I'm a good friend. Well, if you're clogged up with too many no's, there's no space for the universe to send you those yeses. Or you may be busy with the no's that you don't even see the yeses that are around you waiting for you to respond to them. Generators have so much energy potential. They're here to do things. A manifesting generator could be here to be busy. So a lot of times that they'd rather be doing things that they hate than not doing anything at all. And their biggest fear is, if I stop doing, nothing's going to come to me. I need to chase it. They're so clogged up with all the no's that they'll never be able to respond to something that's going to bring them satisfaction in their lives.
Interesting. Is that the same for manifesting generators?
Yeah, to clear, we have 4 types. Yeah, that's it. There's no 5 types.
Okay.
Manifesting generators are a subset of generator. They operate through the sacral response. Different.
Okay. Then what would you tell a manifester?
Yeah, manifester, their biggest fear is rejection. They're the ones who are supposed to initiate first, bring new stuff into the world. Are you playing small? Do you feel like your energy's too much? Are you trying to make sense to people? Manifestors all dream big. We all can, but they have like some big idea in the back of their mind that's so fucking scary that they're not going to do it. So they chase the smaller ones, or the safer ones. So I would ask, what's that big idea that you have back there that feels right, but you're so scared of that you're not doing it? It's there for a reason. Why is it there? So you don't have to do it? Yeah. So manifestors do the thing that scares you the most. That's when you're going to be attractive. That's when you're going to be on your train.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really cool piece of advice. Projectors. We got the easiest job because we just tell everybody else what to do.
Did I be rejected? Yeah, kind of, but I'm not put, it's like, wow, manifestors, they signed up for some big stuff, they have that impact. That's what they're here for. Projectors, I would say, do you feel like you're relaxing at anybody? Are you giving yourself enough rest? Are you focused on your productivity, on your consistency? Projectors, it's the exact opposite of the way we've been conditioned to be successful is the way we become successful. It's a sick joke. When I figured that out, I was like, it's not like the conditioning was like a little bit off. It's the fucking opposite. Like, do the opposite of what they tell you to find success, and you'll be successful. The more we're pushing for something, the more we're pushing it away. I want money. I want more clients. I want more relationships. If I go out and chase those things, I can literally feel them leaving me, and it's like, I need to push more. That's the advice, right? It's the opposite. The more you can relax, the more you can wait for those invitations, the more you can take care of your body. We have sensitive bodies as projectors, I take baths, I get massage, that's okay. Take care of your body and you'll start to see things just flow towards you. And I hate saying that because I've heard that before I found human design. You're just like, yeah, oh, your money mindset is really fucking with your money. And I'm like, I got bills to pay, well, shut up. I'm going to go after it still, and guess what? I didn't get that much.
Yeah.
So I get it, but that's the beauty of human design is you can try it out and see if it works for yourself. You don't have to believe it. It's an experiment. So stop chasing things as a projector, and God, your life gets so much easier.
Epic.
Yeah.
I love that. I do chase a lot of
So do I.
because the bills.
The bills,
the bill.
Yeah. I think the biggest, any people I work with, what's the number one thing? It's money for everybody.
Yeah.
And in human design, we say that what you're supposed to chase is your signature as a type. So generators, satisfaction. If you're using your energy in a way that satisfies you, money becomes a byproduct of your satisfaction. Projectors, funny enough, is success.
I know.
Right? So to me, success means recognition. I was never recognized in my life for who I was because I was always trying to be productive and play the energy game. So when you're actually recognized for the first time as someone who can guide or offer assistance or advice, oh my God, that's what success feels like. So it's in those one-on-one interactions we have with other people. That's it. Money, byproduct of recognition. Manifestors, they're chasing peace, right?
How ironic.
They're so ironic, but so spot on. Manifestors just want to be left alone to do them. Don't try to control me. Don't get in my way. Let me do what I want to do and love me for it. They don't need the other types the way the projector and the generator does. We all need people, but just in a different sense. So they're chasing that, like, I want to do what I want to do, and money becomes a byproduct. So it's when we chase our signature and that's what we're going after, we get the money and the nugget that we're here for. What are we here for? I don't know, but that success feels pretty damn good, right? And the satisfaction feels so good. So we get both. When you chase the money, some people are really good at getting it. And that's when you have the billionaires who are sitting on their yacht, miserable with their existence, and they don't know what's wrong. Not to say there aren't happy billionaires, for sure. Like, money is, yeah, good, great. We all need it. But human design really says that when you follow your design, when you are experiencing that alignment, you're going to get all the material wealth that you need in this life to be comfortable, because we're not living in a fear-based survival environment anymore. We're moving into a new era, which is all about communication, all about emotional intelligence, this kind of spiritual awareness. So we're not designed to suffer materially anymore.
That's amazing. Reflectors,
I hate speaking about reflectors because my one is like, dude, you don't know really that much about them and you don't have experience. So
they are a tough one. I also,
they're so different. You know, we're all different, but they're so different. And I actually recently had an opportunity to be at a human design conference, and I think there was 7 or 8 reflectors there. I actually got to stay with one too, so I feel like I definitely do have a better grasp of it. They just want to be included. They don't. I used to say like they're the unicorn. You know, that's kind of like the speak that is there on Instagram sometimes. These unicorns are like, not a fucking unicorn. I'm a human. I live in this world too. You know, they're different, but we're all here having the experience together. So I would just say to reflectors, like, do you like the community you're in? They reflect back the health of a community. They're supposed to be the center of some sort of community. If you have health problems, if you're not enjoying your life, if you're disappointed, it may be, hey, you're not in the right spot, or the people around you may not be correct for you. So to, you know, find that community that makes you feel good, that makes you feel healthy and alive, and experience the surprise of like, oh, you know, life has surprises to offer.
amazing. How can human design help a person to discover their purpose or to connect with their purpose?
Yeah. Human design, the beauty again for me is not in who you are, it's in who you're not. And when you let go of all the not self open stuff in your chart that isn't your purpose comes to you. It just naturally finds you. Like it just flows out of you. For us, I always tell, you know, projectors, what do friends come to you for? You know, I've noticed my relationship posts, my sexuality posts, they get the most attention, you know, whereas somebody else might get invitations for a completely separate thing. So I don't think it's up to us to mentally figure out what our purpose is, but with human design, when you learn you're not self and you let that go, your purpose finds you and people find you. When I found human design, I go, I'm not that spiritual of a guy. You know, I'm never going to give a reading. I'll never do a training. It was like very hard line for me. Like, this is interesting and it helps me, but I will never do these things. I got an invitation for a reading. I was like, I guess I'm going to do a reading now, you know?
How did that invitation come?
Sharing.
You shared about yourself. That's it. And your own journey. That's it.
My experiment started on a Bumble date. 1-3 random encounter changes my life. And I think when I got a report and I read like, you're not designed for a 9 to 5. Your life is more about rest than it is work. And I was like, I'm in. That's it for me. I found my system, you know, I'm diving in. You never stop the experiment, you know, it's always ongoing. I'm never going to be there's no really goal for me here, but just to feel the recognition and the watch what comes my way. We call it passenger consciousness in human design. Your mind is never supposed to make a decision for your own life. It's here to communicate, to solve problems, to express yourself, you know, to do what we're doing right now. This is what our minds are really good for. The second I try to use it to override my life, it's in the open centers. Our bodies are here to make those decisions for us. And, you know, there's a common misconception that human design is very masculine. It came from a man, but it's about the body. It's about the form principle. It's this yin knowledge that our body is designed to make decisions for us, which is our intuition, our emotions, our energetic lighting up, you know. It's such a system of letting the mind chill in the back seat and enjoy the ride and giving the decision-making power to your body to go where it wants to go. We don't get to know. And that, I think, is the hardest sell for human design, is you look at these other systems that say, you want to be a 6-figure coach in a month? Yeah. Okay, sign up for my program. Hey, do you want to make $1 million in my container? Let me show you how to sell people. Oh, yeah, I want that. Okay. Human design's like, you want a fucking mystery bag where you don't know what's going to happen with your life, and I don't know how much money you're going to make, and I don't know what you're supposed to do for work? You want to figure it out? Here you go. Try this, you know? So when you look at what it's competing with out there, it's so easy for our mental conditioning to want to grab for these results because that's what we think we want in human design. Doesn't promise you shit. It promises you your signature. That's it. Being satisfied as a generator. If you make $1 million a year or $50,000 a year, it doesn't fucking matter. If you're satisfied as a generator, you're in heaven. That's what it's all about. So I think that's the hard sell, but that's how you find your purpose is you let go of trying to find it.
Astrology,
Yeah.
and star signs.
Yeah.
How does it come into this? What is the correlation here? Because a Capricorn, are all Capricorn projectors? Because I'm a Capricorn and now I'm a projector. What's it?
Yeah.
What's the link?
No, there's no correlation there between type because the beauty of human design is it incorporates so much astrology. But the thing human design says is the time of your birth, what we use for an astrology reading, that's awesome. But guess what? You're missing half of the story, which is the body. So 88 days before we're born, that's when our soul enters the vehicle, enters the body. It's called in from wherever, okay? At that time, your body's imprinted with its entirely own astrological readout. So we can see in human design, you may be a Capricorn personality, but your body could be a Pisces or something else. So we put those two things together and holistically you get to see how you operate as a human being because astrology was missing the form, missing the body. Another interesting thing, especially when I look at my own chart, you could have your sun in Pisces, but guess what? That's in an open center. What does that mean? Oh, I'm inconsistently a Pisces. My moon is in Aries and it lives in my heart, which is defined. So I may experience my ego, my Aries moon, a lot more consistently in my life than I do a Pisces. I still definitely resonate with being a Pisces. But the cool thing about human design is we can take a planet and actually bring it down into the body and show you where specifically it's affecting you in this holistic form, where astrology leaves so much to interpretation. What is a Capricorn? There's so many different ways to describe it. What is this square that or conjunct whatever? Definitely truth there. But when you bring it into the body, it tells a much more nuanced story, I think. And it's easier to see the mechanics of how human design works, the way it's laid out.